All right, in this video, I am going to go over your group poster project. Couple things. First, it is a group project, so you will have a group of 3 or 4 people. 5 is too many and 2 is not enough. So we will let you form your own groups, but do know that everyone in your group is going to be responsible for carrying their own weight. So you want to choose your group wisely so that you have people you know will do their responsibilities. The largest portion of the grade will be a group grade, but there will also be an individual grade where you will grade anonymously other people in your group and yourself. How do you think? Did you do what you were supposed to do? What grade would you give yourself? And what group grade would you give other people in the group? Based on that feedback that I get, I will give you an individual portion or individual part of the grade. And if you were in a group that did really well, but you did not contribute, then that's out of 20 points. You may actually get a 0 with the intent that your score should come down based on the fact that you did not carry out your responsibilities. Second thing is, this is going to be a poster project, so Mrs. Oxman will show you examples of PowerPoint poster templates. If you go to any search engine and put in free PowerPoint poster templates, you'll get several different choices. But again, it has to be a poster template because our hope is that we will print these out and then be able to put them up in the hallways of the school for other people to see. Now, what is going to be the topic of your poster? It's going to be dealing with a problem, a biological or science problem. So you're not going to do a study, but you're going to try to solve some type of problem that exists on Earth that deals with environmental issues or several other possibilities. So you cannot pick something as large as climate change. To try to solve climate change in one big fell swoop is probably not realistic. But you can look at the consequences of climate change. So you're going to have to find, and I know this seems open-ended, but we want you doing some thinking. You're going to have to find a problem that is small enough that it is solvable, but it can't be so big that it's something that is just beyond just trying, like climate change is way too big. But again, consequences that are going on because of climate change, consequences that are going on because of water issues, consequences that are going on because of changes in rain amounts and so on. So one way to do it is to seek out a problem. It can be about animals, again, it can be about the environment. Again, I know it's very open-ended, but the goal here is that you do a little bit of research and that you come up with a problem that you would like to solve. Now, I realize that you are not highly trained scientists, so I'm not expecting you to know all the science, but you are going to have to learn parts of the science in order to come up with a solution. One way to narrow down the focus is there may be something you want to work on, but it seems too big. But if you find a portion of the United States or a portion of the world where that problem is a big issue, then you can focus on that part of the world, United States, even within Indiana, if there's problems that exist, science problems that exist within a specific spot. So trying to accomplish that in a specific spot will narrow down the problem a little bit and probably make it easier for you to come up with some type of solution. Okay, so best way for me to describe what's going to be on there is to show you the rubric that I'm going to use to grade the poster. So the first thing I'll be looking for, and this will probably be in your introduction, both these first two will probably be in your introduction, is that you state the problem very clearly and you use legitimate and current data to support that the issue is a valid problem. So you can't just make up a problem. You have to use a real problem that exists, and you have to have research that shows that yes, this is a problem, that it's a problem now, or if things don't change in the future, it will become a problem. And then you need to look at the consequences. So if it's a problem, there's going to be negative consequences if this problem is not solved, or if something doesn't change. In the near future, it can get worse as we go down the road. So you have to talk about the consequences of this problem not getting fixed. And again, you need to show research for these two. Then the next section is the 8 key questions. So we've used the 8 key questions a few times in this class. You're going to discuss the most relevant key questions that you think are most important, that your group thinks are most important to think about when coming up with a solution for this problem. So again, you're using these key questions to help you try to focus down on how to solve the problem. So what is most important when you are trying to decide how the problem is going to be solved? And then obviously the largest portion, the most emphasis is going to be on your solution. So the solution should be specific, and you need to talk about the specifics. All right, you can't say we're going to solve this problem by cleaning up the water. You have to be very clear on how you're going to solve the problem. If you're not sure of some of the science, then we can set up an appointment and I can talk to you, or Mrs. Oxman can talk to you. So specifics on how the solution would be carried out. So if you're talking about a specific area of Indiana or the United States or somewhere in the world, then you can use specifics about that location and how this problem can be solved. You need to talk about the science. So what current science do we have that supports the problem? What future science could exist that could solve the problem? So you cannot use something like, oh, a genie is going to come in and make all the water clean. You have to have some scientific basis for your solution. Okay? The more innovative and the more realistic and creative that you are with your solution, then that will earn you more points. So again, if you come across something and you don't understand the science, then again, talk to Mrs. Oxman or contact me and we will sit down and have a discussion about it. The next section is evidence for the solution. So discuss the solution and whether it's relevant and the key evidence that supports the problem solution. So have people done things other places that have worked? Is there science out there that states that this solution could possibly work for the problem that you are going over? Now, everything costs money, and I know sometimes it's difficult to determine how much a solution would cost. But what I'm looking for is that you just get an idea. You can't just come up with something and say, well, this is going to cost $10 billion and poof, the money's just going to appear. So kind of get an idea of what it's going to cost and come up with creative ways or innovative ways to come up with that money. All right, so again, with politics, with anything, if you've got a solution, it's going to cost money. So you're going to have to be creative in coming up with ways that will allow you to pay for the solution. Now, the pay or the money may come from future savings from something in the problem you solve, so you can use that also. Again, any references you have for that will be beneficial. With your solution, you need to talk about the stakeholders, just like you did when we did the ethical thinking. So discussion of the role relevant stakeholders are going to play in the solution. So if you have a solution, there's probably going to be stakeholders who are negatively affected by that solution and ones that are positively affected by that solution. So it's going to be important that you discuss the relevant stakeholders. Who is influenced by the problem itself and then the solution that you have developed. Any solution to any problem has strengths and weaknesses, just like anyone's viewpoint on an ethical issue has strengths and weaknesses. So what are the relevant strengths of your solution? What are the good things that could come from that? And what are some of the negative? If you come up with a solution that may cost people jobs, again, those people are the stakeholders and you need to talk about that as a relevant weakness to your solution. That's the main focus of content. Your poster design will get you some points. It has to be clean, easy to follow. I can find the different sections in the same font. You can use pictures. You're more than welcome to use pictures. You do have to reference where you got the picture, but if you take a graph or a picture, we don't count that for this as plagiarism. So you can take a picture or you can take a graph that someone has developed and use it as long as you reference it. And again, pictures are going to look nice on the poster. Now, pictures don't replace content, so you need to make sure you're still answering the questions or including everything that's on this rubric. But pictures can add things to the poster. They can also share information. And then your reference section. You have to have 5 valid sources that are used, and the sources need to be cited in the text. So if you make a comment or a statement within the text, then you need to reference that comment, and then you need to cite that at the end of the poster. So there should be a section on your poster that deals with references. There needs to be at least 5 that are valid sources. So they need to be good sources, good science sources, and that will be 10 points. Now I will tell you though, if you are using things up here, all right, for these sections and you are not citing them, or there is not a works cited section on the poster, it will cost you points from each section. You will get no higher than a D if you have a whole poster done with no references in the text or no works cited. And again, you don't need to be using a lot of quotes. I want you to learn how to put things into your own words. So if your solution to a problem in your poster is primarily quotes from other sources, you're going to lose a lot of points. So do not use quotes unless they are absolutely necessary. If you're not sure if it's necessary or not, then talk to Mrs. Oxman or talk to me. If you don't understand something and you quote it without an explanation, or you just quote something and the language is really scientific-y and all big words, and I don't understand it, then I'm going to know that you probably don't either. So don't use quotes to get away from actually trying to understand what you are doing. Use your resources. Use me or use Mrs. Oxman if you have problems understanding what they are talking about. So again, you want to cite your references within the text, and then you also want a works cited section on your poster. Okay, so this is just a basic introduction. What's going to happen is you will do some research, and then you'll communicate with Mrs. Oxman and communicate with me, and we will try to help you come up with a good problem to deal with. So if you come to us with a solution or a problem, we may say, no, that's way too big, or you know what, you need to make it a little smaller, or you need to make it a little bigger, and we will look at that. So you can look at environmental issues, you can look at issues within biomes. There's several ecological, there are several different things you can come up with. So our hope is that you find something that you find relatively interesting, so that as you're doing this research, you are, I know it's school, but you are somewhat enjoying the process, or at least somewhat interested in what you are doing. So we'll give you a timeline for this. We'll go through it. We've got plenty of time, depending on when you see this video. It's your last big project for the semester besides your biome for the lab. So again, if you have any questions after I go through this and after Mrs. Oxman talks to you, then please let her know or please let me know. Thank you.